Time now for your forecast first. WRBL News 3 First Alert Weather.
Well, it was a soggy morning and we continue to have showers moving in and out of the area. Temperatures are sitting in the 50s, even some of us getting into the middle to upper 50s. But this is going to be the warmest that we will be all day because our temperatures will begin to fall. We'll get into the upper 40s by 6 p.m. as rain starts to wrap up. I'll have your 7-day forecast coming up in the next 15 minutes. You're watching WRBL News 3 on your side.
Alrighty, thank you, Nicole. Straight ahead, opposition stands in the way of voting rights legislation, while President Biden says he's not giving up yet. Next, city leaders now speaking out about the rise in crime as Columbus records its first homicide of 2022. Plus, how the Biden administration is battling surging cases of COVID-19. We'll explain as News 3 Midday starts right now.
On your side, this is News 3 Midday.
Well, good afternoon to you. Thanks for being here with us on News 3 Midday. I'm Blake Eason. After an all-night debate on the Senate floor, Democratic efforts to reform voting laws have failed. Laura Podesta has the latest, including the president's reaction after one of his top priorities was stopped in its tracks. Take a look.
Right. On this vote, the yeas are 49. The nays are 51.
Upon learning voting rights legislation would not make it out of the Senate, President Biden issued a statement saying in part, the United States Senate has failed to stand up for our democracy. H.R. 1, the voting rights bill, so important to Democrats, it was the very first piece of legislation introduced by the current Congress, was passed by the House almost a year ago. But it stalled again last night in the Senate.
The president and I are not going to give up on this issue. This is fundamental to our democracy, and it is non-negotiable.
With no Republican support of the bill, it failed to move forward, prompting a separate showdown over Senate filibuster rules. Most Senate Democrats wanted to temporarily get rid of the filibuster, but they didn't have the votes Wednesday night after two of their colleagues opposed changing the Senate's 60-vote threshold.
We've changed rules we've all talked about how many times rules have been changed. We've changed them, but we've changed them with the rules. We didn't break the rules to change the rules.
Fortunately, there are two members of the Democratic Conference who believe in the institution, understand that in the very near future the shoe might be on the other foot, and are prepared to prevent this destructive move.
The bill would have ensured access to early voting and mail-in ballots and made Election Day a national holiday, among other changes. President Biden says he will, quote, continue to work with allies to advance necessary legislation to protect the right to vote. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
And this marks the fifth time in 6 months that Republicans have blocked Democratic voting rights legislation. Meanwhile, in Columbus, police are asking for help locating a missing 14-year-old girl. Police say Dejanese Goldsboro ran away from home, and an adult could potentially be helping her hide. Goldsboro is potentially in the area of Wilson Apartments on 8th Avenue. She stands 5'7" and weighs about 170 pounds. She has black hair with braids and light brown highlights. If you have any information about her whereabouts or any information regarding the identity of the woman on the right side of this photo, you are encouraged to contact Columbus Police. And the city of Columbus recorded its first homicide of 2022 on January 16th when a 71-year-old woman was shot while driving down the road. This follows a year when Columbus recorded 70 homicides, a record number for the city, and the violence is getting the attention of city leaders. Our News 3's Kinsey Beach has that story.
In 2021, Columbus suffered its worst year on record with 70 homicides. The first victim of the new year was a 71-year-old grandmother, Barbara Luke. Luke was struck by a bullet as she was driving her car in broad daylight down Delray Drive. Councilwoman Toya Tucker says we need to come together as a community.
No matter where it happens, if it happens in District 3, 2, or 4, it doesn't matter. It's all our business. All of us, all of my colleagues, we are concerned about, the uptick of murders in our community.
Tucker says this first homicide is different and hits close to home.
I'm extremely close to my grandmother. I know that as a granddaughter, if this happened to my grandmother, I would be devastated.
Tucker took to Facebook to express her condolences to the family and included, "I pray that the individuals who are responsible for this crime are brought to justice." Through Operation City Takeback, the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office Drug, Gang, and Fugitive Task Force, they're determined to put away all those who are responsible. At the start of the new year, Muskogee County Sheriff Greg Countryman said, quote, "The residents of Muskogee County, Georgia, can be assured that in 2022, we will continue to assertively go after those who are responsible for the demise of the quality of life within Muskogee County and bring them before the courts to be held accountable for their misdeeds," end quote. Anyone with information regarding the homicide on Delray Drive is encouraged to contact Detective Sherman Hayes at 706-225-4268. Reporting in Columbus, Georgia, Kenzie Beach, WRBL News 3, on your side.
And turning now to the fight against COVID-19, President Biden is opening up the nation's strategic stockpile of masks, which are set to begin shipping later on this week. They'll be available to Americans free of charge, along with the government's at-home COVID tests, which are now available with the click of a button. The Biden administration officially launched covidtest.gov Wednesday, allowing 4 free tests per household, shipping in about 7 to 12 days. Meanwhile, children under 5 could be eligible for a coronavirus vaccine as soon as next month. White House Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci said he can't guarantee anything, but he hopes to see FDA approval soon. And before we go to break, on this day in 1977, Plains native and neighbor Jimmy Carter was sworn in as the 39th President of the United States. The young farm boy turned elected official would take the oath of office on a cold yet sunny January morning 45 years ago today. From the governor's mansion to the White House, Carter would become the commander-in-chief at just 52 years old. And of course, on the big day, he was joined by First Lady Rosalynn Carter. His administration would go on to focus on human rights, democratic values, and poverty across the globe. From the peanut farm to the presidency, Carter would go on to win the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002 for his work done in the Oval Office. Some Plains peanut butter ice cream sure does sound good right about now. As we head to break, we want to say thank you again for trusting News 3. Coming up, lawmakers in Alabama are deciding how to spend millions of dollars in COVID-19 relief funds. That special session happening right now. First, let's check back in with meteorologist Nicole Phillips for a look at that Thursday weather. Nicole, ice cream inside, not driving in this mess sounds like the right idea.
It does, but you know what? Our temperatures are in the 50s, so I don't know, maybe some hot chocolate sounds a little bit better. Hey, 50s now. This is the warmest will be for a majority of the day. Your day planner coming up in the next 10 minutes. While you're in the break, don't forget to download the weather app, turn on the notifications so you can stay connected.
On your side. You're watching WRBL News 3 Midday.
Well, Alabama lawmakers wrapped up their first day of the special session on Wednesday, and it continues right now. Lawmakers are debating how they'll spend funds from the American Rescue Plan. They are expected to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on broadband expansion, water and sewer projects, and health care. After talking to both Republicans and Democrats at the House, they agree these funds are vital for the well-being of Alabamians.
They need some money to help get those systems up. Something we take for granted is just clean drinking water, but we've got some communities that are really struggling with that one issue.
We believe that this is a great first step. We know that this is not the final step, and that other things and other priorities throughout the state and other needs will be addressed at some point.
And the special session continues today, so stay tuned this evening on News 3 Evening Edition for the latest updates. And of course, you are watching News 3 Midday, and there's more news for you straight ahead. And meteorologist Cole Phillips will have that full forecast coming up in 3 minutes.
Hurt by a big truck? 1-800-CALL-KEN.
One call, that's all.
On your side, meteorologist Nicole Phillips has your first alert forecast.
Well, this morning we had rain on our morning commute, and we still have some rain around for our lunchtime commute. Here's a look at the live radar right now. Occasionally, we do get pockets of moderate to even heavy rain, but for most of us, it's just a light rain or a little bit of a drizzle if you're not dealing with the rain. I was out maybe about an hour ago, and I saw a little sun trying to peek on through. This will last up until the next couple of hours. Then by our evening commute, we'll start to see things wrapping up. Here's a look at our satellite and radar. So the reason why we have the rain rain is because we've got this front that's pulling through. And as it does, eventually rain will start to decrease from west to east over the next few hours. Now, behind this front, you'll notice it is pretty cold. So we've got temperatures in the 30s, 20s, and even teens the further west you go. Ahead of that front, we still have the 50s and 60s, even 70s down in Florida, but that's all going to change again. So here we go. Temperatures right now, we're sitting in the 50s for most of us, but look at Alex City there. We're at 43 degrees, even Montgomery coming in at 47 degrees. So once that front slides through, our temperatures will start to fall. So this is the warmest we will be for likely a majority of the day. And then also it will become a little bit breezy as well. Our winds will pick up, occasionally gusting up to about 15 miles per hour. So when we look at our radar forecast by 5 p.m., we're still dealing with some rain off to our east, but then it'll start to push out. Temperatures are already in the upper 30s to low to middle 40s. Clouds overnight will actually keep us pretty warm and keep us from falling down below freezing. So that's some good news. When we wake up on Friday morning, we'll be in the middle to upper 30s and even a few low 40s. And then as we go into Friday, I do think we'll have some passing showers around as well. I know radar forecast really not doing a good job picking up on it, but I do think we'll have some showers around. Notice too, Friday evening, our temperatures are above freezing. We still have 40 degrees here in Columbus. Most of the winter weather is well off towards our east and northeast. So that is a big improvement from what we saw earlier in the week. In fact, any precipitation that's left over will fall as rain. It'll be out of here by the time our temperatures drop down below freezing going into Saturday morning. So again, daytime highs, this is the warmest we'll be right now. So if you need to run some errands, right now is the time to do it. You'll just need the rain gear. We're in the 40s on Friday, 47 on Saturday, and we're back into the 50s on Sunday.
Nicole, it's one of those days I think if we could, I would just stay inside because it's cold and it's rainy. I was out there a little bit earlier today. Not a great day to be out and about, but
no.
Like you said, if you got to get those errands, get them done now.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit chillier later on.
Because when I look up and I see 30s and some 20s on there, in this area, I kind of get nervous. So, yeah, here we go, folks. Thank you so much, Nicole. Stay with us on News 3 Midday. Ahead, some employees in the UK getting a taste of a 4-day work week. Sign me up. We'll tell you all about the test program after the break.
On your side, you're watching WRBL News 3 Midday.
Welcome back to News 3 Midday. Uncle Sam is getting ready to start using facial recognition technology for online tax filers. Starting this summer, users with an IRS.gov account will no longer be able to log in with just a username and password. Instead, they will need a government-issued ID and a selfie, among other verification forms, to confirm their identity. And YouTube is pulling the plug on original programming. The company said on Tuesday it will stop making most of its original shows. Instead, they will devote more time and money to shopping-related programming as well as content that supports Black creators and kids' entertainment. And some employees across the pond will soon enjoy extended weekends. Yes, I'm listening. The UK is joining in on the 4-day workweek trend with a 6-month pilot program. So dozens of British companies are taking part in the test run that allows employees to clock in for, get this, 32 hours a week. Yep, not 40. The UK joins countries like Spain, New Zealand, and Iceland in the experiment. Hopefully they will maybe try that over here in America. And if they're looking for volunteers, I will gladly sign up. Remember, News 3 Midday always on your side. Meteorologist Nicole Phillips will have one last look at that forecast when we come back.
On your side, you're watching WRBL News 3 Midday.
Well, welcome back to News 3 Midday. Before you go, meteorologist Nicole Phillips taking a final look at that forecast for you. Nicole, it is wet and rainy and cold today, but a little bit of good news in terms of that system that we've been talking about all week coming in tomorrow, right?
Yes, so we've got the rain coming through today. That will move out. We'll have passing showers on Friday. Our temperatures are going to stay above freezing, well above freezing. We'll actually be in the 40s. And then even as we go into Friday night, that rain will move out of here. So that means by the time our temperatures actually do drop at or below freezing, we won't have any rain around. So that's some great news for Friday night into Saturday.
Yes, indeed. And then looking at Saturday and Sunday, I mean, my goodness, if we could just stay inside in the morning and then enjoy the sunshine in the afternoon. Thank you so much, Nicole. We thank you for trusting News 3 Midday. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.